This is the motivation. Motivation. That's the key word. Motivation. To get motivated. Sometimes we just got to ride the wave when it comes. When that wave comes, you get on it. And I had to wait for my next wave because sometimes we crash. And that's what happened to me. I crashed. And I had to land, get back on ground zero, or the ground, and then sometimes you have to get yourself up off of the ground. When you find yourself on the ground, you have to get up off the ground, and that's where we suffer sometimes with depression. You know, sometimes depression is something that happens. Depression happens, and sometimes I think it's in our genes. You know, it's in our genetic makeup because of our ancestors. You know, just like physical problems can come from family history, and I think family history is something that we need to break, and I think that's where suicide happens. Because I think that if you are thinking of committing suicide in this life, you probably committed suicide in a previous life, and it worked. It worked because there's no reservation. You know, when things are going horribly wrong, I believe that we're a lot, how it's been okay, I suppose. Thank you for joining. I've been going through a lot of reality checks. Sometimes when you cash reality checks, they don't pay the bills. You learn stuff, you know, from from cashing your reality check, and that's where I've been lately. I've been kind of like struggling, and I think when life is hard, that's when you have to be hard, you know, because sometimes you just get what you're dealt. And I've been learning about that we're multidimensional people. We have a lot of dimensions. They're saying there's a lot more than 3 dimensions to this universe, and so let me know if I'm talking too much, because I'm kind of taking things off pause, and I think that's where you get a lot of insight from. You get a lot of insight from when things don't go well, and trying not to focus on those things that don't go well, because we're creators. I'm finding that out a lot lately. Is sometimes because you are where you are, you created it on some level. Whatever you're thinking of all the time, whatever you're fearing, because sometimes when you fear something, that's a focal point. That's where you're focusing, and you got to switch your focus point to what you're not afraid of, because you're just realizing everything. Whatever happens in your life, you realized it. You caused it to happen, and that's stuff they don't teach you in school. I've noticed that. They say energy flows where attention goes, and I'm finding that out. You know, it's like, why does this happen? Why is this happening to me? And it's like, they say you should think of yourself you should talk about yourself in the third person, because your subconscious will accept it easier and better. Like if you say, Ed's a millionaire, you know, Ed's come a long way. Ed always makes good decisions, you know. then your subconscious there's no resistance to it. There's all these tricks that I'm learning by doing research on these YouTube videos, or sometimes just I've noticed that you'll have what I call psychic echoes. You'll hear something over and over again. Like yesterday, a lot of videos were popping up that were telling me, um, if your world is falling apart, congratulations. Because it's like, if you're having energy changes to your frequency, to your energy, then your current reality is doesn't know how to react to it. You know, if you were a 9 to 5er all your life, and then all of a sudden your frequency changes, your thoughts change, then your current reality doesn't know how to react to it. It's having an abreaction. That's what I was learning about in hypnosis. Is some people have an abreaction to hypnosis. You know, some people you shouldn't try to hypnotize at all because they're going to have a bad reaction. And so that's what's happening. If your world is falling apart, because the universe you created is rejecting your new mindset. So that's why, if you lose your job, it's because the universe is arranging you to have a new job, a different job. And that's what it's kind of weird, all this rude awakening, because what we're taught and what we all believe is not always true. They're saying if you play with mercury, you know, that you're not going to die, or if you can make everything out of asbestos. And they were actually using asbestos for the snow in The Wizard of Oz, and asbestos for fire retardant, and asbestos is really bad for the human body. It causes mesothelioma, and I think that all these new discoveries, see, I've learned like abracadabra means I create as I speak. And a lot of times, if you just speak something, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter what you think about it. It gets sucked into your subconscious. They say 95% of uh, our life, how it goes, is conducted by our subconscious. It's dictated by our subconscious. So if you keep saying, I'm sick, or I have depression, or I have cancer, I've seen cancer goes into remission. This one guy, hi, oh, somebody else has joined in. Thank you for joining. I've been away for a while, and I think I'm doing my 40 days in the wilderness, because I really crashed, and it was really weird how my world changed when I crashed, because it was like a mental breakdown. And I think that's when you just start rejoicing. When things start looking real bad, it's because you're having your current reality is it doesn't know what to do. Your current reality doesn't know what to do about your the changes that you made inside of yourself. You know, because sometimes people feel liberated when they've lost their job. But then there's that fear that comes with it, and sometimes you got to neutralize, figure out how to neutralize your thoughts. Because sure, when you lose your job, you're gonna immediately be hit with fear, because how in the hell can you pay your bills? But then there's those miracles that happen. You know, those miracles. Miraculously, I haven't been broke for almost 2 years, because 2022 is when I had my open heart surgery, and I haven't been able to work that whole time. But miraculously, I've had money in my account, you know, because other people have been giving me money. And it's like when you make that shift from people giving you money, from you having to go out and earn money, You have people giving you money. I've noticed this about celebrities. They say, man, I had to work really hard. I had to work really hard to get my money. And then now everything is just. So there's those weird switches that go off and on in our reality. They're saying there is no past, there is no future, there is only now. And I think we've always been adapting to our reality. And that's what's kind of it's mind blowing and mind bending, because it's like people who have a drug addiction, they always seem to have money for their drug addiction. People who smoke cigarettes, they always have money for their cigarettes or their gambling addiction, because it's like they bypass how they're going to get the money. People who have gambling addictions, it would blow your mind how much money they blew on gambling. Or people who have like a sex addiction, they're seeing prostitutes or whatever, and they always seem to have money for their habit, but they never seem to have money for their bills. They never seem to have money for their their responsibilities. And I've been noticing that. So I think the less we care, I came to that realization when I was on my hiatus, that, or my vacation, I guess, that the only thing I gave a shit about was money. The only thing I gave a shit about was money. Everything else I have. I have my peace and quiet. I have food. I have a place to live and all that. But it's the thing I focused on. That's the thing I'm lacking. So if I stop focusing on money and how I'm going to get it, I just realized I needed deodorant. Okay, so Mom and I went to the grocery store, and I pull out my food stamp card to pay for the food, but then I paid for my deodorant. I paid for my own deodorant out of money from my own wallet. And that was kind of like a breakthrough, because for the longest time, anything cash related, anything not food related, it seems like I had no power. But then I came to that realization, I opened up my own wallet and pulled out cash out of my own wallet to pay for something I needed. So that's that contradictory. So maybe we don't know as much as we know, or we don't know as much as we think we know. And that's what's kind of like lean not on your own understanding, because everything that we understand seems to be a total relative thing. Like Einstein thought or came to the realization that time is relative. I'm hearing that more and more in the science community, that time doesn't exist. So if you're learning something, don't worry about how old you are. Don't worry about how young you are. Just realize that there is only now. If you really think about it, it's like, how old are you really? If you get hit in the head with a coconut and you forget everything, how old are you really? People say I don't look like a 55-year-old, but then you hear about the man from Torrid, the guy who he showed his passport, he showed his ID, and he was from Torrid, but Torrid did not exist. And it's like, I've been noticing weird things like that in my life. I'll Google somebody. Oh yeah, I look like 63? Okay. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm that other man from Torrid, you know. And it's kind of like, it's strange how, what is reality really? We all think we know what reality is, but then we say like, okay, it seems like just yesterday it was New Year's Eve. It seems like just yesterday it was, you know, it's like, do we really have a grasp of time? Or mortality and immortality? They talk about these gods and goddesses being immortal, or I keep reading about the Count of Saint Germain. The Count of Saint Germain, and also the Epic of Gilgamesh, and how long Moses lived, how long Noah lived. It's like, is life really? Does life really have a time limit? It's kind of weird how science seems to be the new religion. People don't believe you unless they can base it on science. People don't really care about what you're talking about, because like they're talking about quantum mechanics, quantum physics. They're talking about multidimensional um, aspects of the universe, and they're they're basing it on science, which is seems to be the new religion. The new religion, if you really think about it, nobody believes, you know, uh, that Jesus fed the 5,000. Uh, Nowadays, it seems there are those who still do, but they can't base it on science. And it seems like it becomes the mythos, like mythology. When they talked about the Greek gods and the Hindu gods, you know, why are people writing that stuff down? Why are people erecting statues to these goddesses and gods, and paying homage to these gods and goddesses if they did not exist? That's like Harry Potter. Okay, erecting a statue of Harry Potter and paying a tithe to Harry Potter, or leaving offerings for Harry Potter. Harry Potter was a hypothetical. He was a fictitious character. You know, but it's like, okay, if Brahman, if Vishnu, if all these gods and goddesses, or Aphrodite, if they were just fictitious, if they were just myths, then why do people give sacrifices to these goddesses and gods and erect statues and temples? It's like, would you erect a temple to Harry Potter? Would you erect a temple to Winnie the Pooh? Winnie the Pooh is a fictitious character, and it's like, okay, there's something different here, you know. And people even today, they say they're talking to Hades. They say they're talking to Azazel. They're talking to Hecate. You know, they're having interactions with these beings. And it's like, okay, what is up here? Even these ancient gods and goddesses. People are saying when they die they see Jesus. When they die they see God. They talk with God. It's like, okay, if God is a fictitious being, then why are people having encounters with these fictitious beings? They are actual beings. Because I believe that we can't see a lot of stuff. We cannot see infrared. We cannot see microwaves. We can measure them. We can measure electromagnetic fields for what they say now. We can measure um, seismic activity. We can measure temperature in the air. You know, but there's so many things that are going on that we can't really physically, scientifically measure, but they exist. Okay, could you imagine science trying to explore love? You know, why a person will pay a guy's bills. Why will a person um, march across territory that they could probably get killed in, just to bring water, just to bring food? That's an unseen force, that can't be measured by scientific instruments. And why science is just uh, dis it's kind of unscientific to say that something doesn't exist. Like they say, if you can't prove it, it isn't science. Now, no, if you can't repeat it, sorry, if you can't repeat it, it isn't science. So now you've got, you're repeating God's name all over the place. You're repeating God's name all over the place in different cultures. They might have the same aspects like Zeus and Thor and Marduk, Baal, these are all ancient gods and they all have the same aspects. So there you go, you're repeating something. You're repeating these different, the same, could it be, like, could it be that they're seeing the same God, but they have different names for that same God, you know? Like, I go into Hermes Trismegistus, there was Thoth, there was Hermes, there was Raphael who has the caduceus, Hermes had a caduceus, Thoth was a god of magic. It's almost like it's the same god, but they're different names, and that's what's kind of interesting, isn't it? And people building temples that still stand today. People go into the Himalayas, they go into Japan. There are these deities that people erected temples to, and and perform ceremonies to get results from these deities, and so maybe I'm blaspheming, I don't know, but it is kind of interesting that we all need to take a step back and say, okay, science, because science to me is like a lack of faith. If you have a lack of faith, you want to walk up and hold an egg in your hand. If you can't just say an egg exists, you have to walk up and take that egg into your hand. That's all right. Well, great. I'm glad to see you. I'm wondering if all this is coming together, But I've been noticing these things. My YouTube channel is not getting a lot of hits, but there are. Oh, in vertical mode. Okay, I was thinking about that. You know what? I'm watching this right now on my phone, so maybe the next one I can do that on vertical. I just thought, because when I watch on my television, it looks kind of like a strip. All I see is a strip, and it's annoying. But maybe I should do like every other one as a vertical. And I almost want to stop this one and start a vertical one. Because it's like some people are watching me on their laptops. Some people are watching me. Oh, okay. That's a good idea. So what I can do is keep that in mind next time. Because yeah, when I'm scrolling through, because now it's like I'm back in the Stone Age, Because when YouTube first their videos, I've done a lot of regular videos, but I don't get seen. Oh, maybe, yeah, because I've noticed that. I'll have to, maybe if you excuse me, I'll, I'll end this stream and then start another one. I didn't know that. I didn't know that because I noticed this when I do a, what are those called? When I do a short, I'll do that. Here's what I'll do. I'll stop this one because I'm going to evolve today. I feel like evolving. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll end this one, and you'll see when I do a vertical. Maybe that's what's killing me, man. I'm not evolving. So yeah. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to end this one.